Good morning, greetings friends, and welcome to The Bright Side, your nutritional program dedicated to the understanding of the vast world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. I'm your host, Pharmacist Ben, nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado. I use nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmaceutical drugs and sometimes deadly medical procedures. If you suspect that there are natural nutritional roads to your health and vitality and well-being, and to addressing your health challenges, whatever they may be, but you don't know where to begin, you have come to the right place. As you listen to The Bright Side every day, you are more and more in control of your body, you are more and more knowledgeable, and you know you can overcome any health challenge. That is why we are here every day on The Bright Side, helping clear up the sometimes confusing world of nutrition and nutritional supplementation. Over the last 32 years of practicing pharmacy, I have seen drug-free recoveries from diabetes, hypertension, obesity, skin diseases like psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, acne, digestive ailments, autoimmune issues of all kinds. Recoveries that by the standards of modern medicine can only be called a miracle, but what is in the world of the body, what is in the world of biology, standard operating procedure. Because the human biological system is a healing system, it's a regenerating system, it is designed divinely to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and while some folks may call that healing, renewing, regenerating system a miracle, it really is just the way the body works. If you have questions about health, nutrition, prescription drugs, if you want to wean yourself off your meds and get on a good nutritional supplement program, we are your go-to resource for all things health and nutrition. 844-236-6010 is our number, 844-236-6010. If you have questions about the longevity products or longevity business, if you have questions or comments about anything we're speaking about here today, if you have questions or comments about skin health issues, our Truth Treatment products, we want to hear from you on The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number, 844-236-6010. And if you want to purchase any of the longevity products, head to brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, or criticalhealthnews.com, or call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. We are talking about one of my all-time favorite topics, favorite subjects when it comes to how the body works, when it comes to the magnificence that we all are as human bodies. If we could just even see a trace of it with our eyes, all the electromagnetics, all the biochemistry, all the intelligence and responsiveness and dynamism and movement, all the stuff that is going on right underneath our noses, literally. Talk about miraculous. The amazingness that we are, and the amazingness that we are is exemplified by the detoxification system. The fact that we have a detoxification system, that just blows me away. That the body can deconstruct poisons and make them, render them harmless, render them non-toxic. Literally deconstruct them or reconstruct them. Actually deconstruct them and reconstruct them. They call step one and step two, phase one and phase two. I'll say step one and step two because it sounds simpler. In the step one process, these toxins, these poisons are dissolved or they're burnt. And then in the step two process, their shape is modified. Something gets stuck onto them in order for them to be eliminated. Then they're eliminated from the kidneys and the bile system. The gallbladder, by the way, is incredibly important and underappreciated when it comes to detox. Without a gallbladder, you are at much higher risk for toxification, for being toxic. Keep your gallbladder, unless you have something incredibly, incredibly agonizing, which stones can be. I understand this. And sometimes you just... the pain is so severe, you're just like, get this thing out of me. I can totally relate to that. But if you have an option, you don't want to have your gallbladder taken out. And what does that mean? If the gallbladder is very important for detoxification, what does that mean when you have gallbladder problems? It means you've got a toxicity problem. Gallbladder issues, gallstones they call them, i.e. it doesn't have to be stones. It could be inflammation in the gallbladder or, God forbid, gallbladder cancer. All of these are the logical end result of toxicity. That toxicity most especially enters in through the mouth, through food and through drugs. That's why I'm always talking about the bile system. In my opinion, we don't address bile anywhere nearly as much as we should be. given its stupendously important role, not just in processing toxins, like when we think of poisons, we think of things like drugs, perhaps, and organic pesticides and fertilizers, organic compounds, and heavy metals, maybe. Think of those things. But you know what? We make our own toxins. They're called endotoxins, and especially hormones. But it's not the hormones themselves that are toxic. It's the hormone breakdown products. See, that's where this step 1 and step 2 becomes a little problematic, because between step 1 and step 2, you got a temporary place where drugs and hormones and toxins can become more toxic. It's only temporary. But if the step 2 doesn't kick in fast enough, or you're getting lots of the step 1, lots of this byproduct, this toxic byproduct or intermediary product, you can get into some big problems. And that's why matching up step 1 with step 2 becomes really important. Anything that stimulates step 1 without a corresponding stimulation in step 2 can be a problem. Or really anything that stimulates, anything that stimulates phase 1 makes you move, they say induces phase 1 or step 1. Anything that induces step 1 in a situation where you don't have a good step 2 going, where your step 2 is not working, it's going to be problematic. That's where breast cancer comes from. That's where reproductive cancers come from. This is where a lot of autoimmune diseases come from. Step 1 that is not, or step 2 that is not keeping up with step 1. Anything that stimulates step 1 can cause problems. Herbs are notorious for doing it, by the way. This is why I have a problem with using herbs as detox medicine, although I respect the herb as medicine for sure. But it can throw off this step 1, step 2 relationship. Cigarettes definitely do it. Alcohol does it. Many, if not most, prescription drugs do it. It'll tell you in the package insert, by the way, if it does this. If you're geek-minded and you're taking drugs, or you're on drugs, or your mom or dad or somebody you know is on medication, you can actually look in the package insert and it'll tell you whether it speeds up step 1. Remember, step 1 is the iconic step 1 chemical is CP450. I'm not even going to say that because that sounds so complicated. But it'll tell you in the package insert on a drug, which I'm always encouraging my patients to read the package insert. I encourage everybody to read the package insert. If you're on a prescription drug, you need to know what it's doing. If you're on multiple drugs, you're going to be shocked by what you're doing to your body. And in any case, on the package insert, it'll tell you whether it speeds up step 1. And I don't know if most drugs do it, but I'd go out on a limb and say most drugs are going to speed up step 1. Certainly, there are many, many drugs that do it, and not just drugs. There's things that we would consider good that can speed up step 1, that can induce step 1. And inducing step 1 is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as step 2 can keep up. The biggest problem, though, is estrogen, by far. There's also substances that can suppress step 1. That's also interesting. Because when you suppress step 1, your drugs become more active. Your drugs become more potent when you suppress step 1. So suppression of step 1 can be a strategy for reducing your drug dose. Or suppression of step 1 may be something you want to know about if you're on a prescription drug and say you decide you want a nice cold glass of grapefruit juice. Why? Grapefruit juice is notorious for potentizing drugs. It contains a chemical, grapefruits contain a chemical called narigenin, Narigenin. This is a plant chemical that's found in all citrus fruits, but especially grapefruits. And you may have heard that you don't want to take your certain medications with grapefruit. That's because narigenin in the grapefruit are going to potentize your drugs. They're going to slow down their detox, slow down their elimination. So if you're taking, say, Prozac, a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, or you're taking asthma drug, a respiratory drug, theophylline they call it, your grapefruits, and you decide you want to have a nice glass of grapefruit juice, and you never did before, you may notice that your drug is much more potent. This could be used. This could be used for good if you do intentionally take your drugs with grapefruit juice, and then have your doctor lower your dose so you don't have to take as much poison. That could be another way that you can take advantage of this phenomena. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back on the bright side right after this. We are back on the Bright Side. Farm Spen here. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, 24/7 on the archive pages at benfuchsarchives.com and brightsideben.com. You can also purchase longevity products off the website. You can also call the Bright Side Ben phone team at 866-735-2470 for more info, 866-735-2470. Ask them about joining the Bright Side Ben team. For a one-time $25 fee, you can start a longevity business and be in business for yourself. You can earn thank you checks associated with helping change the world at the most fundamental basic level there is, which is the level of good health and vitality. Nothing else matters if you don't feel good. And with longevity products, you can change people's lives if they're not feeling good, if they're on medication, if they need, if they have weight to lose, if they need to lose some weight, if they just got out of the hospital, if they're bodybuilders or weightlifters or athletes of any kind. You don't have to be sick to benefit from supplementation, by the way. In fact, if you're an athlete, you will benefit more than the average person. If you're in good shape and you haven't supplemented, you'll actually benefit more because your body will be able to utilize those nutrients. So if you're relatively healthy or healthy and haven't been on a supplement program, you can up your game big time by getting on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine or the Healthy Start Pack or the Fuchs Z or the Nightly Essence. If you've never supported your digestive health, even if you've supplemented and you've never thought of supporting your digestive health by using the Ultimate Enzymes and by using the Nightly Essence and by using the Fuchs Z, you may be in for a shocker. You can up your game big time. The more nutritionally deficient you are and the faster your body is burning through nutrients, the quicker the results you get. And that's one of the beautiful things about getting on a supplement program. 844-236-6010 is our number today, and we do have lines open for you. We're talking about Step 1 and Step 2 detoxification. Step 2 has to keep up with Step 1. There are things that induce, that's the technical term, they say it induces CP450. It induces Step 1, things like prescription drugs, exhaust fumes, cigarette smoke, pesticides, let's see what else. Phenobarbital, barbiturates do it. There's a lot of things that will heterocyclic amines, HCAs that are found in burnt meat. You may have heard, if you're doing the longevity products, one of the 10 bad foods is burnt meat. Burnt meat induces CP450. This is its mechanism of causing cancer. Things that induce or stimulate or upregulate phase 1, step 1 will, if step 2 is not keeping up, can increase your risks of cancer. Burnt fats can do it. Saturated fats, too many saturated fats, that is, may do it as well. Anything that burdens the liver is going to create a problem. This is happening in every cell of the body, the detoxification system, but primarily, largely, mostly in the liver. And 100 million of us, 100 million Americans, 1 out of 3 Americans, is dealing with compromise at the level of the liver. The liver and the gallbladder together play a major role in detoxification. The liver and the gallbladder are the main headquarters for the bile system. The liver and the gallbladder. If your liver's messed up, you don't have a gallbladder, even if you have a gallbladder, but that's not working as it should, your bile can become thick and sludgy. When bile becomes thick and sludgy, some bile is supposed to get eliminated in your stool. That's where bile gets eliminated. The toxins go into the bile, and then the bile goes into your stool, into your large intestine, and then into your stool. That's what's supposed to happen. But if you're constipated chronically, which many Americans are, that's not going to happen. The bile starts to back up. You see what we're talking here? The minutia of all this stuff is really fascinating. The biochemistry, I think it is, and hopefully you do as well. But what's really the meta message here, the big message, the overriding message here is that our bodies are so beautiful and so perfect that when they're sick, something has to be wrong in the system. Something has to be wrong in how the body conducts its business. And this is important because it puts the control back, it gives us our control back when it comes to our health. Medicine can only interfere with the system. Medicine cannot fix the system. This is the dirty little secret of medicine, of the pharmaco-medical model. Drugs cannot fix the system, but our lifestyle can. How we live our lives can. Drugs cannot fix the system. Surgeries cannot fix the system. They can, if you have an emergency, they can make things better. than it was before, but they can't put it back to normal. No surgery can do that. Your body can adjust, and you may not feel as sick as you were after you had your gallbladder taken out, but it can't fix a messed up bile system, a messed up detoxification system. But our lifestyle can. Once we understand all of this little minutiae, as interesting as it is, the real story is that we have so much more control over this, and the doctor will understand why the doctor has no control over it. None. Zippo. Nada. They can only mask things. We are suffering from the penicillinization of the pharmacomedical model. We're suffering from the idea that penicillin works so well. This is really where the pharmacomedical model got going, is after antibiotics. Because antibiotics obviously changed the course of history. After antibiotics, people didn't die when they got a cold. You could very easily die when you caught a cold before antibiotics. A lot of people did, babies especially. Lots of babies died. In the 1800s and the 1700s, when we were crapping up the environment big time with the Industrial Revolution, and antibiotics came out, it changed everything. But the problem is that's not how all drugs work. They don't all work like antibiotics, killing infectious microbes that cause diseases and bacterial diseases. But of course, we know that comes with a dark side too. That comes with a negative side too, because now we have antibiotic resistance problems. You cannot fix the system. You cannot make the system better with drugs, and nothing exemplifies this more than the idea that the detoxification system is so magical and so powerful and so amazing, and that all diseases have an element of a messed up detox system. Surprise, surprise. Look at the way we live our lives. All right, so phase one can be induced. There's certain foods and there's certain supplements that you can take to support phase one, and we should all be doing it. Cruciferous vegetables stand out. Cruciferous vegetables actually play a role in phase two also. We're going to talk about that. But for step one, cruciferous vegetables, cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, eat them. There's also this kind of sort of silly idea that somehow you shouldn't eat your cruciferous vegetables because they're anti-thyroid, or people with thyroid problems. They're goitrogenic is what they call them. Not true. Maybe slightly, they put a slight stress on the thyroid. But if you have hypothyroidism, don't blame the broccoli. And you can always steam your broccoli too, and that deactivates the anti-thyroid nutrients in there. But as far as the detox system goes, oh my God, especially for estrogen, especially for keeping your estrogen process well. If I was a woman and I had any kind of breast cancer in my family, or if I was somehow predisposed to breast cancer in any way, I don't even know if I like that idea. Let's just say if I was worried about breast cancer, I'd be eating cruciferous vegetables every day. All women should be eating cruciferous vegetables every day. Brussels sprouts. Braise your Brussels sprouts. And it's funny how these cruciferous vegetables get a bad rap. How people, make fun of broccoli. And George Bush famously said, now that he's president, he doesn't have to use broccoli. And it has this negative connotation because they taste really good if you do them right. Braised Brussels sprouts with lots of butter and salt. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben, and we have a empty board today. So if you're tried to get through in the past and were not able to, 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. I am Pharmacist Ben, and this is your go-to nutritional and all things health-related radio program and internet show. I'm a nutritional pharmacist, been doing this for 35 years, and when you do something over and over and over and over and over and over again, and you see things over and over and over and over and over again, eventually patterns start to emerge, and you start to notice things, and that's what I share with you on this program. The patterns that I've seen about how the body works and how disease progresses, about how to reverse diseases. It's all pattern. When we have a health challenge or one health challenge or multiple health challenges, and many people have multiple health challenges, it's very personal to us, and it's kind of like it's like a signature. It's like our signature. It's like unique. It's like a fingerprint. Everybody's got their own spectrum of health challenge. Not everybody. People who are sick have their own spectrum. All sick people have their own spectrum of health challenges. And it seems unique, but they're patterns that start to develop belie that seeming uniqueness that happens at an individual level. At the macro level, when you start to see a lot of data points, when you start to see things, lots of people, and over the course of 35 years, I've seen thousands of people who are sick, you start to notice things. The same kind of breakdowns occur to everybody. That's why I call it the triangle of disease. That's what I call the triangle of disease. It's the same basic fundamental breakdowns that happen to everybody. And the third, I always say the three things a cell needs, only three things a cell needs: oxygen. Well, one of the first things you want to notice is that diseases is all cellular. All the breakdown in the body is cellular. It's not happening at the level of the organ. It's happening at the level of the cell. There's actually a form of philosophy, a school of philosophy called meurology, M-E-R-O-L-O-G-Y. Meurology is the science of parts and wholes, how parts relate to wholes. This is something philosophers really, it's a focus of attention for a lot of philosophical conjecture and thought and speculation. How parts relate to wholes. It's really kind of interesting how parts relate to wholes. When you have a system, it's made up of a bunch of parts. The thing about the body is somehow or another, these parts, these unique, these individual fundamental building blocks are so cooperative, and they've learned how to integrate with each other so well. It seems like we have organs and we have tissues and we have parts that are independent because the little components are working so well we don't even notice that it's little components. Nonetheless, when the breakdown occurs, it's occurring at the level of the cell. That's where it's occurring. It's not occurring at the gallbladder. It's not occurring at the breast. It's not occurring at in the intestine. It's occurring in the intestinal cell. Nobody has intestinal problems. They have intestinal cell problems. This is so important, and it may sound like it's kind of, nerdy and wonky, but it's not. It's really practical. It's super practical, because the body is made up of these components. All we got to do, what we call cells, all we got to do is figure out how to deal with the cell. And it's not complicated, is the good news. The cell has evolved over 3.5 billion years to somehow know what to do on its own. It doesn't need us. Cells don't need us except for three places. There's only three things a cell needs from us. A cell needs food, i.e. the mighty 90 essential nutrients. That's what a cell needs. Just like we need food. We need hamburgers and hot dogs and steak and potatoes and whatever, vegetables, whatever we eat. A cell needs amino acids. It needs essential fatty acids. It needs vitamins and minerals. The mighty 90 essential nutrients. Those are cell foods. And they're essential. That means that the cell has to have them. That means we have to give it to the cell from the outside. That's why you got to supplement and eat well. The cell needs oxygen. Oxygen fuels all the cell's processes. Without oxygen, the cell dies. It can't perform its duties. Now, oxygen comes into the cell there's two factors that are involved when it comes to oxygenating a cell. One is getting the oxygen into the body, into the blood specifically, getting the oxygen into the blood specifically, and then getting it from the blood to the cell. Those are the two ways. Now, the first part you do get from breathing. You breathe correctly. SDR breathing, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. Give the body abundant oxygen and make sure that you're blowing off that carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, by the way, is very important in the sense that it's an oxygen magnet. So you got to make sure that you have enough carbon dioxide too, in addition to blowing it off. In fact, making sure that you're exhaling a little more than you're inhaling is probably the best way to breathe. Exhale a little bit more than you inhale. Keep that carbon dioxide level up so it can suck up the oxygen. Carbon dioxide is an oxygen magnet. So that's the second thing it needs. But also, it's not just the breathing. The blood has to drop the oxygen off to the cell. That requires a clean bloodstream. If the bloodstream is not clean, if the bloodstream becomes toxic, if the bloodstream is sluggish, it's not moving correctly, oxygen's not going to get through. That's why movement is important. That's why jumping up and down on your rebounder is important. That's why exercise is important. In addition to deep breathing, exercise, the kind of exercise where you're huffing and puffing, not just to walk around the block, but exercise in order for it to be really effective. Exercise has to be uncomfortable. You have to get to the point where your body is telling you don't want to do it anymore, or actually it's your mind that's telling you don't want to do it anymore. That's what happens when you know you're getting a good workout. You'll know you're getting a good workout when your mind is telling you, you know what, you don't really need to exercise so much. You know what, you're doing just fine. You can get off that treadmill right now. That's how you know you're getting a good workout. If you're just walking around the block and it's a nice day and you're walking the dog and you're just enjoying your life, that ain't exercise. Not that it's bad, but it doesn't qualify as exercise. You need to kind of push the system a little bit. And then thirdly, you need a clean place to do, the cell needs a clean place to do its business. We need to provide the cell with a clean place to do its business. Number one, to keep the bloodstream clean. That's critically important. And number two, when the toxicity accumulates around a cell, the cell can't do its business. It's overwhelmed with toxicity. And that's the problem with our 21st century culture. That's why you hear stories about people's grandparents smoking and eating lots of sugar and not getting fat and living long lives, because they weren't overloading their detox system like we are today. And they were moving. We are pounding our detox system. Almost everything we eat has to be detoxified. How do you like that? Americans subsist on 80% processed food. And that almost by definition, processed food is something that contains elements that need to be detoxified. Not all processed food. Sometimes you can process vegetables, and that's not necessarily going to create toxic compounds. But the vast majority of the bars and the snacks and the cereals and we eat, all that processed stuff, requires detoxification. How do you like that? Our food requires detoxification. The difference between a food and a drug is a food can be used by the body. A drug cannot, which means that what we're calling food is really drugs. From a technical standpoint, much of the food we eat, and that includes McDonald's hamburgers and fast food, Applebee's even, much of that, it has to be cleaned out as a drug. Much of that has the same biochemical effect on the body that our Prozac does, and our beta blockers and calcium channel blockers, albeit perhaps not as intense, but, close. Some of the stuff is maybe as intense, particularly the preservatives. All right. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number, and we'll take a commercial break and come back with your phone calls if we have any, or me if we don't. On the bright side, I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number. We're talking about the whole detoxification system, most amazing system in the body. It just blows me away how we have an ability to detoxify ourselves, and we just take it for granted. One of the most important elements when it comes to detoxification is making sure that you're getting enough fiber. Fiber is really important for the whole detoxification process, but specifically for the intestine. And there's a really interesting relationship between the intestine and the liver. The intestine is communicating to the liver constantly. The intestine is communicating to the liver what it needs to do and what's going on at the intestinal level. And the cleaner your intestine is, the healthier the signals that go from the intestine to the liver are. So keeping the intestine clean is very important. Fiber plays a major role in sweeping poisons out of the body, especially estrogen, by the way, for women who are concerned about estrogenic health. If you're dealing with an autoimmune disease, fiber can be really helpful. If you're dealing with, or you want to prevent yourself from dealing with an estrogenic cancer, and that includes prostate cancer in men, fiber can be helpful there. And now, according to an article in the journal Immunity, a high fiber diet protects mice against the flu virus. So you can actually protect yourself from the flu by making sure you're getting enough fiber. Dietary fiber increases survival in influenza-infected mice by setting the immune system at a healthy level of responsiveness, according to a preclinical study published May 15th in the journal Immunity. A high-fiber diet blunts harmful excessive immune responses in the lungs while boosting antiviral immunity by activating T cells. Once again, demonstrating the very major relationship between the digestive system and the immune system. If you have any immune problem, which means any inflammatory problem, which means any chronic long-term degenerative disease, period, they all involve immunity, they all involve inflammation. Taking care of your gut, especially making sure you're getting enough fiber, is job number one. I know I say it every program, multiple times a program, but you can't say it enough. Work on the gut first. Everything else will follow. Work on the digestive system. When we say gut, we mean the intestine. Work on the intestine, small intestine, the large intestine first. Everything else, all your other health benefits will follow. All right, 844-236-6010. Let's go to California and say good morning to Tony. Tony, what's up, buddy?
Sir.
Welcome.
Yes, sir. Hi, Pharmacist Ben. I have a relatively famous son who started the journal Cell, the Chirotic Cell.
Wait a minute. I know that journal. It's an incredible journal. You're saying your son?
My son started it. Yeah, Dr. Adam Cuspa of...
You're kidding me. That's amazing, Tony. You never told me that.
He's visiting me this week, and I was wondering if you could give me a good question I could ask him, other than the fact that we have...
Here's a good question. This is the question I want to know, okay? How did the first cell start? That's what I want to know. How did this irreducibly complex, and he'll know what that means, irreducible complexity, this irreducibly complex, in other words, it can't be broken down into parts. How did this irreducible...
We're getting into religion, right? We're getting into
Maybe.
religion.
Yeah, I know. That's where science meets religion. I do understand that. So if he punts, then I'll know he's a good scientist. If he tries to explain, if he tries to explain it, I'm going to be a little bit more skeptical of him. Although you want to hear something.
I'll tell you what he told me 30 years ago, that 30% of all doctoral theses are frauds.
I'm not surprised. About that. It's a lot. Right. I wonder how much of these research studies and clinical studies and epidemiological studies where they just interview people, how many of those are wrong, and how many of us are being drugged or having surgical procedures based on these kinds of studies, especially ones that are funded by the drug companies. But that's a whole other story. So Tony, check this out. There's a theory now that cells started. They find that when they take fat and they put it in water, sometimes that fat will spontaneously form a circle. And it just automatically happens. They just drop a little bit of fat in the water, and it forms, it's called a micelle, and it forms a circle. And they think, this is what they're trying to say, this is how the first cell came. But they still can't explain how all that stuff happened inside the cell. So I want to hear what I'm very impressed, by the way, but I want to hear what Dr. Anthony Cuspa says. And I wouldn't mind if he...
Adam Cuspa.
Adam Cuspa, I'm sorry.
He's the world expert on dictylium.
I'm losing you there, Tony. Say that again.
He's the world expert on dictylium, the little analog.
Oh, buddy, I want to hear what you're saying, Tony, but I can't. You're cutting out. I heard he's the world-leading expert on something, but you're just going to leave me hanging. Why don't you shoot me an email or call back, and I'll get you up here. I'm going to take a call here. Can you hang up your phone and call back? Yeah, call back. Okay, thanks. All right, let's go back. Let's go to Truth Raider. What's up, Truth Raider? How you doing, buddy?
Good morning, sir. This is just a test to see the quality of my call, how it's coming through.
Oh,
you hear me just fine today?
I hear you fine. Thanks for using me as your call testing service. I appreciate that.
Well, the reason why I'm doing that is because we're having issues when I use the computer and I go on shows.
No, you sound great.
I don't have trouble per se when I call other people, but it seems like there's a problem when I call on broadcasted shows.
Really?
There's experience of the feedback that's going on.
Maybe they're faking you out. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of you, Carl, the Truth Raider.
No, I think they just want to gather information what people are saying, what people's opinions are, etc. They want to know the mindset.
You always bring interesting things to the table. But if you don't have anything today, I'm going to let you go. If you don't have anything interesting.
Yes. Well, I have one thing to say. We were discussing in past months and the past couple of years about the general population, who really cares and who doesn't care. And the controversy was, well, not a lot of people do really care. Well,
are you talking about when I always say? Are you talking about when I always say nobody cares?
Yeah, but you care and I care. That's
I know. I understand. When I say nobody, there are select. That's kind of. I'm talking hyperbolically. There are people who care, definitely, but it's not like the government cares. It's not like some of the broadcasters, and I'm not going to mention names, but some of the broadcasters are screaming about things. They care. Do you know what I say?
Yeah.
It's not like everybody. It's not like there are certainly people who care. I'm kind of teasing when I say nobody cares, but the people who think care, your doctor, the government. I laugh. I was on a panel last week, and this lady on the panel said we have to contact the government and tell them that we don't want EMFs, that we don't want the smart cities, and we don't want to have electromagnetic pollution. You know what I'm talking about? All the electromagnetic. Yeah, all that stuff. We have to contact our congressman. Give me a break. Like your congressman cares? You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Those are the people that don't care. Your congressman is not losing sleep at night because there's the EMF. Oh, we have to write our congressman. You know, the whole political system is set up, and the medical system is set up. Those people don't care. Your mother cares.
Right.
Your friends care. There are certain people in the world who really do care. I do think that. But the vast majority, and certainly the ones that represent the establishment and the system, they don't care. Donald Trump doesn't care. Trust me. He's not losing any sleep.
Right.
He ain't losing sleep at night over factory jobs. That's not on his mind. No. Trust me. All right. Anything else? Anything else? I want to see what Tony was saying. He's calling back here.
No, absolutely. Just go ahead. Keep on caring.
Thank you, Carl.
And I care, and we'll all care. All right.
Okay. Good.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Tony. What's up? Tell me what you were saying. I want to hear.
He's a world expert on dictyostelium. That's how he did the genome on dictyostelium.
What is dictyostelium? What is dictyostelium?
It's a little nematode. Grows.
It's a worm. It's a worm.
Like a worm. It looks like a sperm cell, actually. And it builds itself into a worm about half. And it only has a 2-week lifespan, but you can do a whole lifespan of human.
Now, what would obsess him? Now, why would he want to? What would he find fascinating about the? I'm sure it is fascinating though. The dictyostelium.
It's a world dictyostelium. It's called dicty, and it's used as an analog for the human body.
I got it.
Doing all kinds of tests.
I got it. The cells, in other words, the cells of the dictyostelium can be used. Dictyostelium can be used in order to draw conclusions about cell chemistry and how the body. That's a very interesting point. Go ahead.
He called me very excitedly, saying that it has a waste reducing system. In other words, it has no guts or anything, but it moves things around. Move things around like the body does.
Now I'm looking up dictyostelium. Dictyostelium. It says it's a plant. Is that right?
It's D-Y. No, it's not. D-Y-C-H-T-Y.
Dictyostelium. D-Y-C-H-T-Y. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to look that up because I find that very interesting that the humblest of creatures can teach us a lot about our bodies, about the magnificent human body. Even single-cell organisms can, and even little. Is it a microscopic thing?
No, you can see it. It's about 1.5 inches long. It's a one-celled animal. It's about a land-based jellyfish because it grows from one cell to a whole series of cells into a tube. It falls over and starts crawling like a worm.
All right. Well, that's very fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, Tony. Hey, buddy, we got to go. We're out of time.
Okay.
All right. I love my smart, bright side listeners. Thank you for listening. Thank you, all of you. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. And please check out our websites, brightsideben.com, pharmacistben.com, and criticalhealthnews.com for all the longevity products and our Truth Skin Health products at truthtreatments.com, truthtreatments.com. Thank you for listening to The Bright Side. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful, awesome, spectacular day. We'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.